of course I had to say something about this abomination that's going on right now. Okay? Now, I don't have a Twitter account anymore because I was suspended. Very happy that I was suspended, but I can still see things on Twitter. Now, you know that your convention is an absolute disaster when cocaine convention is trending on Twitter. People were actually speculating that Don Jr. and Kimberly were high on cocaine. Here's what they looked like during the convention.
Good evening, America. I'm Donald Trump Jr. We're here tonight to talk about the
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
I don't necessarily share the same opinion as everybody else in terms of whether or not they were high on cocaine. Here's what I think happened. Before Don Jr. was required to give a speech, I think Trump, Ivanka, and Don Jr. were in a room. And Don Jr. was like arguing with Ivanka because, Ivanka's always constantly praised by her father. She's the only one that's given the White House job. She's given the hard and tough assignments. And he feels like he's smart too. And he should be entitled to get certain things. But anyway, let me not even go into it. Here is a video actually of what happened before he came out to speak.
And that there was something in it for me if I could help him out. He said that you were being tough on the negotiations. But if they could get a little help and close the deal fast, it'll be good for the family.
You believe that story? You believe that?
He said there was something in it for me, on my own.
I've always taken care of you, Fredo.
Taking care of me? You're my kid brother, and you take care of me? Did you ever think about that? Huh? Did you ever once think about that? Send Fredo off to do this, send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere. Send Fredo to pick somebody up at the airport. I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things, I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
Okay, I think, and many people are saying, I think after this conversation, Trump slapped Don Jr. and told him that he will never be anything in the Trump administration. He'll never be anything to him. That he better just snap out of it and get out there and go and give that speech. And this caused Don Jr. to start crying so hard. And then I think Trump kicked him and pushed him until he got in front of the podium to give the speech. And he was still crying, though. They had to do like multiple takes in order to get the tears out of his eyes, but he couldn't stop crying. So finally, they just gave up and decided that his last take would have to suffice because he was just going to continue to cry the whole night, right? After his dad told him, "You're a failure. You'll never be anything to me." And then I think his girlfriend, Kimberly, she heard about the entire altercation and she got scared. Fearing she might be the next victim of this abuse, she snorted a few lines of cocaine. to make sure she was alert. And then after she did that, she just went overboard because she was way too high. Okay? And then after the Trump campaign heard her scream at the end, everyone was scared. They were fearful of having her have to re-record her speech. They just decided that her screaming in an empty room would hopefully scare enough people that they would be like, you know what? We got to vote for Trump. Right? You hear that kind of screaming. I mean, it's going to startle you. And they probably thought people were going to be like, oh my God, did you hear her screaming? Okay, you guys, get your ballot, get your ballot, write your name down, put it out there, get it out there. Okay, that's my theory, right? Of course, I have no way of verifying this, but many people are saying it's true. Many, many people. So I guess anyway, if you enjoy people screaming at empty chairs, partially hallucinating, then Trump is your guy. I mean, to be honest with Kimberly, she was like doing that Oprah thing. You get a chair. You get a chair. You get a vote. You get a vote. You get a vote. Like, it was so crazy. Like, how do you sit there and scream at chairs? Those chairs were probably even scared. But in all seriousness, I didn't watch the convention. I saw clips of it. I refuse to give them the ratings they are so desperately craving. Plus, I've heard all of this nonsense before. It's the radical left are destroying this country. They are the real racists. Democrats want to take from the poor and give to the rich. They want you to be homeless and destitute. They hate America and only Trump loves this country. Democrats want to take your Bible from you and Trump will defend your Bible. I mean, they want to kill your babies and only Trump can save the babies. Democrats want to eat your guns. He won't eat your guns. I mean, I can't hear the crazy anymore. There's no value in hearing lies all day long. I don't want to be in a state of perpetual anger, especially based on fabrications and distortions. After seeing the clips, it was apparent to me that I missed absolutely nothing. If any of this was inspiring to you, then you have very low standards. If you think that either voting for Trump in protest or not voting for Dems will teach the Dems a lesson, you are merely hurting yourself. Unless you have some unified effort that has some political power, you will not persuade any party to adopt your ideals or platform by merely not voting or helping Trump. All that will happen is they will start courting those voters that voted, which means they'll start courting the quacks that support Trump. They won't push policies that you care about. They'll just stop counting you in as somebody that they need to look out for when they're putting together their own campaign strategy. This is not the time to throw a tantrum. Here's why Trump is so bad. He's a pathological liar. You cannot have someone lead you that cannot tell you the truth. If I'm going to follow you, I have to trust that you know where you're going. He's a narcissistic person. I think all politicians have a little bit of narcissism in them, but Trump's is at a level we've never seen before. He only cares about himself. His own sister was caught on tape saying that Donald only cares about Donald. To be able to lead over 330 million people, you have to, at some point, care about more than yourself. Trump is innately incapable of doing that. He's lazy. He's averse to working. He likes talking instead of doing. He doesn't read intelligence briefings. He barely reads at all. Reading makes him bored. He spends most of his days looking at ratings, news coverage, articles, etc. Not trying to do the actual job he was hired for. He's not actually running anything. He's just directing people to do things that are so contrary to reason. He's not knowledgeable enough to understand science or listen to the researchers because he trusts his gut. A president cannot just trust their gut. They have to be certain. He golfs more than he could even understand the word governance. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's also a bully. He can't... Oh my God. There's very few people in the world that cannot be criticized. He is one of them. He's created this false persona in which he thinks he's chosen. He despises criticism. If you criticize him, he will insult you like a child. He's not intellectually equipped to intellectually retort. He will call you stinky head and poo-poo face and dummy brains. Literally infantile insults. However, he will use his platform to attempt to destroy a person that even remotely criticizes him. People get death threats after angering Trump. He doesn't believe in governance. He only feels he is responsible for those that voted for him and states that voted for him. He was willing to watch citizens in blue states die of the coronavirus merely because they did not support him. Because of his ineptitude and callous, it affected the entire country. Over 170,000 people have died of this deadly disease, and many that recovered will still have health problems the rest of their lives. He's dismantling the government. He will fire anyone that doesn't do exactly what he says. Anyone that publicly disagrees with him will be fired as well. Any agency he doesn't like, he just won't fill those positions, His bitterness with Obama made him dismantle the pandemic response team. Look what that did to this country. People are still dying every single day while other industrialized nations are going back to normal. He's bankrupted this country. His ineptitude has led to millions of people unemployed, small businesses having to close, millions being laid off or furloughed, families standing in line at soup kitchens for the first time, others getting food from food banks, their savings gone. Some are homeless, others are close to homelessness. They have to choose between eating or paying their bills. And it wasn't like this wasn't inevitable. He's bankrupted everything he's ever touched. The tax bill he signed has the middle class paying more taxes or getting less of a refund while his 1%ers pay nothing or close to nothing. He's ruining the U.S.'s global standing. Part of the problem we have in the U.S. is that too many people are so provincial. They don't understand anything outside of their own communities. They have this warped view of the United States. Their ignorance makes them believe that no matter what the U.S. does, the world will still support them. That's simply not true. Also, having global support is very important. That's what keeps other places from wanting to invade the U.S. or destroy the U.S. That's how the U.S. stays powerful, by bargaining with allies and maintaining alliances. He's literally destroying those relationships and courting dictators. And to those of you who don't think it's bad that he's praising people like Kim Jong-un, then you have never read about the suffering of the North Korean people. The starvation of families and children, the abuse, the concentration camps, the killing. He deliberately causes division and chaos. Trump is internally in turmoil. As a consequence, he has everyone else suffering his own misery. He's bored when things are peaceful and stable. He's attacked peaceful protesters who are fighting against injustices. He made a mockery of the murder of George Floyd. He couldn't even bring himself to acknowledge how tragic and wrong George Floyd's murder was. Instead, he's inflaming the situation and insulting people who are grieving. He doesn't care about black people. He never will. He feels completely dissociated from black issues. And while he tells you, I'm the best thing that ever happened to black people, he does not care about you. He does not care about Hispanics. He does not care about Asians. He does not care about Native Americans or any other minority group. He doesn't even care about the disenfranchised white people that have supported him. He just wants us all to hate each other while he profits and benefits. He doesn't seek love from his base. He seeks love from real billionaires, ones that actually are billionaires. Those are the people he meets and he tries to court. He doesn't try to court his base. He could care less about his base. These are the kind of people he would never affiliate with. He doesn't want to be around them. He doesn't mind them adoring him from afar. But let those people try to affiliate with him and have a relationship with him. He will not be having it. And I can list many more things, but I don't want to be on here too long. Voting him in as president again, voting him in the first time was a massive mistake. Voting him in again is deliberate, unforgivable blunder. Blunder. Before I get off, I put a link below to sign up to volunteer or get involved in helping elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. There are multiple different ways you can get involved. We need to make sure we vote and get everyone we know to vote. We need to make sure that anyone mailing in their ballots will also call to make sure that their ballots were received. So like, for example, you mail it to the Board of Elections. You need to call the Board of Elections and say, did you receive my mail? Just to make sure that it was received. Because you just don't want them, the shady stuff that they're doing right now at the post office. You have to be sure that they're going to get your actual ballot. And if you can drop it off if that's possible. Get some kind of receipt to show that you actually went out there and did that. We need to be able to keep track of what we sent. And, call if you have to and make sure that it was received, because I'm telling you, they're trying to steal this election. And I just want to be very clear before I get off of here. Things have gotten worse. And they will get even more terrible if you give Trump 4 more years. That convention is showing you that. We tried it. It didn't work. It just didn't work. It was a very bad decision. It's time to give him his pink slip before more Americans continue to get their pink slip.